Hello, everybody. I'm Cami Yanez. Welcome back to David Backstage. Today we are here with Tiah Guthrie, who played Bathsheba in our David musical. Hi, Tiah.
Hi.
All right, Tiah. How are you feeling about this?
So excited. So excited. I love talking, actually.
Really?
No. That's a lie.
The people want to hear you. I want to hear you about all the things you have to say, because this was just crazy for all of us. From the beginning, we're just going to get into it right away. But let's go to auditions.
Oh.
I know you kind of just, showed up. And we were so excited. I remember literally jumping out of my seat when you walked in. But what was it that made you decide to even audition in the first place, kind of last minute?
So it was definitely a God thing, because I kind of I had this philosophy. I keep saying this. I have this philosophy for this year that, last year I did every show and I stressed out about it every time, and I was really anxious about every audition.
Yeah.
And so this year I was like, I'm not going to do every show. That's not going to be a thing. I'm not going to do it. But what I do audition for, I was like, I'm not going to stress over. I'm like, God's going to put me in the shows that I'm supposed to be in, and that's it. And so all year I was like, I'm not going to, for every audition, I only had 2 days. I gave myself 2 days to practice beforehand. Since I got in the other 2 shows this year, I was like, okay, I'm not doing David. I said I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to stress myself out. And then it was the day of auditions, and I was in Christian scriptures, and I was like, I just kept thinking about it, and I was like, why do I keep thinking about this? And I was like, well, that's not fair. If I set out to God, I was going to just do it, you're going to put me in whatever show I'm supposed to be in, then why would I just not audition? So then right after class, it was 5 minutes after my class that audition started, so I went to Larson, and I looked up a song really quick, and then I looked up a verse in the Bible, and I was like, okay. And I showed up, so that was that process.
Whoa. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow, that makes a lot more sense with just God. But dang. Okay, so you walk into auditions, and we make you do all the things. How are you feeling afterwards?
I didn't stress about it. Again, I was like, if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. I thought my original audition was kind of bad, again, because I didn't even try. And I thought my second one was bad because I came straight from another class. In fact, I was 10 minutes late because I had to come straight from another class that ended at 4:15, and callback started at 4. So I didn't have time to warm up or anything, and I was like,
wow.
I guess I was nervous for the callbacks because I was like, this is crappy. I should not be coming in late, first off. I should be warmed up at least a little bit. So, yeah, I was a little nervous after both of them. But it's okay. It was fine.
Yeah.
Didn't stress as much as I did last year, so that was my main goal.
Love. For Bathsheba, she's just such an intense role. And I've seen you a lot with very, pure and, quirky and just, lighthearted roles. So then when they showed me that video of you, I literally, my jaw, touched the floor. Because, whoa. That was crazy. That voice.
Singing is not even
that voice was
I get scared. I don't sing. I've only been in a choir for 2 years in my entire life. One was senior year of high school because I wanted to get a good role in, I forgot what show we did. I wanted to get a good role in it. So I'm not very confident in my voice at all.
That's crazy. Girl, you should be, because your voice is crazy good. Oh my goodness. Whoa. But they showed me that video and I was like, yeah, she's got it. You're singing, doing your little Bathsheba melody, and then Cabot comes in the back. And he's he walks in and he's like, but yeah, what was your reaction when I think we called you?
Yeah, okay, so
right?
I had a meeting during that time, so I didn't answer. I didn't even know I got a call.
Yeah.
And then I went back to Alice rehearsal afterwards, and Prof. Davis, I was going to say Kelsey. Prof. Davis asked us to help me, Cabot, and Ella to move some stuff into the building. And so as we're carrying it in, Cabot's like, oh, congratulations on your role, by the way. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. We just had callbacks.
Oh my god.
You don't have to lie, it's fine. He's like, no, they called everyone. You didn't answer. I was like, no. Wait. So it's real? And so immediately I checked, and it was silly. I was in shock. I was like, wait, be honest, what? I was not expecting that. So yeah, that was my experience.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I didn't know Cabot was the one who told you. That's hilarious. Rehearsals start, And it's crazy for everyone because there's 2 other shows happening in the beginning. Going into it, though, with your character, Bathsheba, what was your reaction, I guess, like, learning more about her? Or did you even know? What was your view on her? Because I know she's a very controversial person in the Bible.
Mm-hmm. So I already knew a lot about Bathsheba and that character. And when I first auditioned, I was like, so I wouldn't mind anything except for Bathsheba. I just don't want to be that one. I was like,
wait, what?
Because I was like, that's gonna be so awkward. Like I can't act lovey-dovey. Like, ew, that's so gross. I was grossed out. And then I got it. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm not gonna complain. Like, I got a role, so that's good. And then after, like, reading the script and everything, I was actually happy I got that one because I feel like McCall is way more of that. And I was
so
like,
true.
I'm glad I got the role.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't know, I feel like, yeah, God definitely planned that out. Because I was like, I can't act lovey to any. I'm sorry, that's silly. I can't do that. And so that's what I was scared about, and ended up being the perfect role.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the way we kind of interpreted Bathsheba, because a lot of people, I don't know about you, but growing up, she was just the one who tempted David. Like, she was a temptress, and all the blame was put on her. But over the summer and, like, studying each character and, like, David's dynamic with each character, I'm like, homegirl was, like, minding her own business and just, like, being hygienic and stuff. And, yeah, so the way that was written was, I think it's something people haven't seen before. So we were a little bit nervous about the way we were interpreting Bathsheba. But did you connect to the way that she was written?
Well, first off, I can agree with, like, how people view her. When I first read it, I was really young. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. She was bathing, whatever.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And then I guess when after I got the role, I talked about it with my family. And I was like, what do you think her role was? Like, what do you think she did? And it is a, like, heated topic, like, actually. Because some people are like, well, no, it's not her fault. Like, he was the king. She couldn't say anything about it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some people were like, yeah, but why was she bathing on the roof, be honest? Like, she could have gone anywhere else, but she's bathing on the roof. So, I guess that was something I definitely, like, sat down and thought about. And I feel like it could be a combination of both. I don't want to say one group's wrong, one group is right, but I definitely think that she did not have a choice.
Yeah.
Even if she did tempt him or, like, it was her fault, I don't think she had a choice no matter what.
Yeah.
Because he was the king and she can't say no to that, you know?
Right. Like, throughout the process and throughout, like, receiving more, like, direction and, like, understanding of Bathsheba, what was something that you were learning about her as you were portraying her? Yeah.
At the end, when she's giving that giant monologue to David, and not even to David, to God, and then talking to David.
Yeah.
First off, I could really relate to when she was talking to God and basically saying, like, help me, like, I'm on my knees before you, like, but if my faith hasn't saved me from your wrath now, then what will, basically.
Oh, yeah.
For this year, faith-wise, it's been really hard for me, and I genuinely found myself on my knees before God, like, if my faith has not protected me from your wrath now, like, why, then what will? Like, you're not with me now, and what have I done? And so, like, how do I move forward, basically? I remember when I first read that, I was like, oh, I don't want to do that, because that kind of hits too close to home. Like, this happened last week, what do you mean?
Dang.
So that was really hard getting into that character, because I didn't want to have to live through that again. So yeah, I could relate to that. And then talking to David is what I could not relate to at all. I feel like me as a person, I do not talk to people about my feelings, especially if I'm upset with them.
Relatable content.
So that was really hard, and I'm like, how can I don't want to say this. Like, I don't want to be mean, even though you're a terrible person. I don't want to say it, you know?
Yeah.
So that was really hard to try to get into character with. I just kept smiling. I was like, I would never say this. I can't.
You did keep smiling. Closing night, our very last show, was when everything was just, like, the Lord was like, all right, I'm mixing this up. It's time. His hand was obviously through everything, but everything was just getting to people. I don't know. People were feeling things, like, within the cast and crew and within the audience. I was sitting with the audience that night, and I could just, like, hear sniffles or hear people say, like, dang, or, oh, it's relatable right there. You know, like, stuff like that. And it was just times 10 that night. But when you were... that monologue that you have, like, I'm on my knees before you, Lord, I was like, this feels a little it feels like a little too real.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like Tiah. Okay,
Oh, no.
I just felt like, so now that you say that, that's crazy, because I'm like, hey Tiah, you good?
Hey, I know you're acting, but was that acting though? I don't know.
That's the thing. I feel like that last night, there were many moments where you guys were not acting, especially with Cabot in Psalm 51. We talked a lot about that yesterday. Like, he wasn't acting, and he just, like, broke before the Lord. And that was just crazy to see you guys, like, slowly doing that throughout the show that night. And then the very last song, I saw so many of you guys just crying and worshiping, and I'm like, whoa. Praise God for that, because that was just, after everything we've been through, that was a moment that was, like...
I think show week definitely, like, made everything real.
Yeah.
Like, before, like, I'm not gonna lie, the day before show, I was like, I don't think this is gonna come together. I think it's gonna be something. I'm just so excited. Like, I'm so excited for me to forget my lines. I'm so excited to forget the song. Like, I'm just so hyped. And then the first night happened, I was like, I came back to Williams and I was like, that was amazing. Like, that was really good. And then the next day, my friends came and they're like, whoa, like, no, yeah, that was really good. And I remember 5 people came up to me personally and they were like, thank you so much for sharing that story. Thank you so much for, like it was amazing. I was like, I never expected it to hit home, that close to home for a lot of people. Like, this one girl, we talked for like 6 minutes and she was like, I came to Olivet and this was my experience and it was amazing, but I also know that a lot of people don't have that same experience. And she cried to me and it was awesome. It was crazy.
Did you know her? Or
I've never met her before.
Tiah.
So it was really
crazy.
It was, a lot of people. It was one day, like 5 different people. And I was like,
wow.
I didn't know. Again, like, I never expected for a show, especially like a show for me to be in, to be even that. I could never see myself doing God's work in that way, you know?
The feedback that I really cared about was this made me feel this way, or like this challenged my faith, or you know, it's comments like that it just like woke me up and I'm like, this is what it's about. And I've told you guys like before, this isn't about us, that this is about God and his kingdom. But after opening night, it's like, okay, yeah, we got this. Like, this is literally God's work coming together, because we were really frustrated, but he still made it for his people and like to bring people closer to him. Like, I truly believe that after everything we've been through. Okay, so let's get into like the nitty-gritty part of the process. There was definitely, it was hard.
I don't know. And I think it was a combination of yes, definitely like spiritual warfare, like definitely attacks from the devil, but combination of that and like stress with school and Alice with those rehearsals going on, so we're staying up really late and lots of homework. And then me personally, I had work like every day, so I had like no time to rest or to do homework or to do anything, and so I was really stressed out for that reason. And then me being an RA was also really stressing me out, because I was like, I wasn't doing well spiritually, but I have to play a Bible character and be there for my residents spiritually, and I'm not getting any myself, so I feel like I'm faking through this entire thing. It was really hard during that time. I don't know, I guess during the time I didn't really think about it, but like David really did help me spiritually grow.
Dang. I think this was definitely a season, and like us learning and us being challenged to be constantly dependent on the Lord, because it was just all of us. Like, we had personal stuff going on. We had no time for homework, no time for work, no time for rest, period. Like, we were exhausted, we were stressed. In the end, the Lord did something. He did more than something, actually. Like, even the people who were there to witness it, and people who came up to you, and other cast members, and, like, the directing team, like, that wasn't us. Like, yeah, of course, you guys are incredibly gifted, and I feel like with the frustration, there was just a lot of doubt. But the Lord still used it all. Kind of a deeper question. You mentioned, like, spiritually you weren't doing the best throughout that. How has that changed, and what has been revealed to you? What have you learned from the Lord?
This really started like in the beginning of the school year period. I just felt like something was wrong and I didn't know what. And then as the school year progressed, I realized like I started realizing what those things were.
Mm-hmm.
And I was upset because I was like, the more I realize what's wrong, the more it's actually affecting me. And I want to go back to the beginning of the school year where I was like, something's wrong, but I don't know, we'll just keep going.
Yeah.
And so during David, I think I really reached that point where I was like, there's a lot. There's so many things that's just wrong and that I need to work on. And one way that I hear from God a lot is I have dreams. I'm a dreamer.
Oh, I remember talking to you about this like last semester.
Yeah.
So true.
So
yes.
I was not dreaming at all since like the beginning of the school year. And it was really frustrating me. I was getting really upset and I was like, God's not talking to me. God isn't here for me. And like I would pray and just feel like nothing,
Yeah.
And so that was really frustrating. And I really reached like the deepest of that time in the middle of David. Literally, I think it was show week where I had my first dream again. And I was like, whoa.
What?
Yeah.
Do you know now, though, that he was with you the entire time?
I think that's something I'm still trying to grow with. I was... And again, it's a problem. Because I wasn't mad at God. I could never be mad at God for not being there with me. And I could never doubt my faith because of that. I was mad at myself. Because I was like, what am I doing wrong? Like, again, kind of like what Bathsheba said. Like, if I have put my faith in you, like, all this time, then why now? Like, what did I do? What can I do? Because I'm like, what? Obviously, it's me. Because I know God can do no wrong. So, like, what am I doing? And I was beating myself up about it and stressing myself out a lot about it. And it was hard for me to focus on, like, anything for, like, classes, or I was in my room, like, by myself the majority of the time. If I wasn't doing anything else, I was in my room asleep or just stressed. I think definitely being out in David rehearsals helped because I wasn't alone in my room all day.
Yeah.
I was with people who actually cared about me and
So true.
cared about God, and we literally learned God's word as we were rehearsing and
So true.
praying, and so I think that was really good, and it was a good situation to be in. I think God put me in that situation for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, I know he used you, Tiah, in so many ways that you could imagine. Like, one was your kindness, and I know you hide your, like, frustration very well, but the kindness that you were giving the directing team and your cast went such a long way, because, like I told you, I was about to give up. I was like, I'm done. People are being mean to me, but there were still the people like you that were... Even though you were going through so much, you were still willing and you were still respectful and, like, kind and, doing whatever we asked of you pretty much. And you did it with a kind and serving heart instead of acting out of anger and frustration. And we were just like, especially, like, as a director who, first of all, I understand now, like, every single director I've ever had. And I've even been mad at directors before, like, oh, they're doing this bad, they're doing this bad. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, wait, this all makes sense. But, it's literally everything is just, like, laid on you. It was so refreshing to just, like, be in your presence because you always were so kind and patient. And I'm like, thank you, Lord, for Tiah, because I was just like, how is she doing it? Like, playing this really heavy, intense role. And I know you were doing RA stuff and you left early for meetings and stuff. I'm like, how? And you were working. And I'm like, how in the world? And of course it was the Lord. And he used you within the production process as a cast member and as an actor. And he used you beyond that with impacting so many people who witnessed you tell her story in such vulnerability and brokenness. And it's just like, this is what we are. The Lord moved through you in more ways than you could ever know. I wonder if he wasn't giving you dreams throughout that process because he was kind of pushing you to use you and to connect and speak to you in this way, in like throughout your role.
It's pretty silly. Silly. No, yeah, I think it was definitely for a reason. And I think also during that time I got close to new people, but I definitely think it definitely did help with the role 100%. And I was just so, like, I even know for like rehearsals, you were like, yeah, get into the character, like you just have to feel it. Like, I know, like, you have to be upset, and I'm like, I can so do that, but do I really want to? Like, be honest, do you really want me on my knees crying right now? 'Cause I can if you really want me to, but I don't think that's what anyone wants right now. Yeah, Prof Davis, all year she's been saying this, and I completely agree with her, and yet it's so hard still, but to live in the uncomfortableness.
Yes.
Oh, because it is uncomfortable. That entire story is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's what's needed. Like, and when I think about it like this, it like puts it into perspective. Like, if you, and she said this, she was like, it shouldn't be comfortable. Like, you should not feel comfortable telling this story, because it's not a good story, and it's not a good situation. So yeah, I think about that a lot. I'm like, you're right. Like, I shouldn't want to feel comfortable, because why I shouldn't want to feel comfortable. That no one does. And if other people were in this situation, they didn't feel comfortable. And like, as an actor, you know, you have to live in what they were feeling, you know? Like, so anyways, that was something that I thought about. And then thinking about like the little monologue at the end, like, you gotta be a little uncomfortable. You gotta do that.
Yeah. So true. Speaking of comfortability, that reminds me of something one of my best friends says. It's Cabot. You know Cabot. LOL. But since last semester, he says this thing, and it just sticks with me. And now it all makes sense. But he says, God doesn't call us to be comfortable. And that connects to something else I've heard. Like, the Lord's calling for you isn't always going to be easy. And I'm like, dang, that was David. That was straight up David. Because everything we covered is just so heavy. But it was humanity. And I think that's why so many people who watched it connected so much to it, with like temptation and friendship and being vulnerable with the Lord, and just accepting that you're broken and that you need him. Like, the Lord is teaching you, and he's strengthening you and growing you. And I think he's done that with every single one of us involved in this, because I don't think any of us were okay, to be honest. What's something, if there's anything, something specific that the Lord did in your heart throughout this process that you want to hang on to?
Definitely the vulnerability, because again, during that time, well, even before David, before any of this, actually, even before college, I've never been good with sharing my emotions, sharing what's happening with my life, sharing anything really, except for the good things. And I guess needing to depend on people, because there was just so much going on during that time. I needed help. And I've never wanted to ask anyone for that. So that is something that I am still working on right now, but definitely started because of David. I can't even imagine where I'd be now if I wasn't in David.
Dang.
Like, I genuinely do not know where I would be if I wasn't in that show.
What did you learn about God's character through doing this show?
I would say that he's persistent, consistent, again, through everything I was going through, and then like just me thinking that he's not there, and then him showing himself, like even like through the story of David, that he was always with David, like no matter what he went through, even when he did sin, like God still loves you, God's still there for you, and he's still looking out for you. Yeah, I think that was very prevalent throughout the entire show. Yeah, for everyone, because again, everyone was going through something, and just knowing that God's still there, God still wants to be with this show, with you as a person. So
thank you, Tiah, for your time and your vulnerability. Slay. Love to see it.
Hey, I didn't cry, so I went up everyone out there. I win. I actually won this.
So proud of you. Look at you.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Tiah.
Okay, thanks.